So life update. I'm living in my car. My little S10. This is me. Stay home for the foreseeable future. And yeah, I don't know what to do. And I don't really have anyone. I toured 2 apartments yesterday. I won't qualify for them because you have to make 2.5 times the over $1,200 rent a month. And I don't even make the rent a month. I've never been homeless before. But you know what? This is a really good story. Like, I can only go, I could go down, but like, I'm gonna go up from here. Cause then, like, I'm broke and homeless at 21. But like, that makes for such a good story. When I'm like, super successful and rich and like, doing so well and have so many people.
Homelessness will continue to be the norm in America. I told you this a year and a half ago. I told you this 2 years ago. I said that America will see a spike in homelessness, right? This includes women as well. We're going to see more women on the streets. We're going to see more young women on the streets, right? We're going to see men on the streets. Men have already been on the streets in the first place. Men are usually the first ones to be homeless because men have no safety nets in America. Right? Men have absolutely no safety nets in America. But as we see the safety nets become even less and less, even for women, we're going to see a bulk of women on the streets now. We're going to see a bulk of elderly women. We're going to see a bulk of younger women as well, because all of those safety nets that people used to lean on is gone, right? It's gone. Food stamps, Medicaid, right? Housing vouchers, rental assistance. It is finito, right? And then on top of that, we have a job crisis, right? And then we had a housing crisis, right? People couldn't afford homes. People still can't afford homes. Now we have a rental crisis. This is the new norm in America, right? And mind you, so I pay around $2,000+ for rent for myself, right? I pay around $2,000+ to stay in an apartment, right? In an apartment that I'm barely in, right? I'm mostly working, right? I'm mostly at my full-time job. I'm mostly doing my YouTube. I'm barely in the bed, right? I'm barely in there to enjoy, right? I sleep just enough to function during the day, and I sit down and eat. That's about it. I don't even really get to enjoy the place that I paid $2,000+ for. Right. And I'm sure many of you, can attest to this as well. Right. If you're working and you stay in the big city, right, most of your time is spent hours at work. Right. Most of your time is spent, doing jobs and, accumulating hours, trying to get to the bag, trying to get to the money, whether you work in the 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, it doesn't matter. Right. Most of your time is spent trying to get to the money to pay for rent. Right. Because rent is the largest expense that most of everybody has, right? No matter what bracket that you're in. Usually housing, mortgage, rent is usually the largest expense that we have. So we're wasting all of our time, spending all our time just to get to the rent money, right? But now we're seeing that people can't even afford rent anymore. Right? This has been a ticking time bomb for the longest, right? Most of the jobs are centered in the city. Most of the jobs are centered in big cities. There's no jobs in rural America, right? There's no jobs on the outskirts, right? There's no jobs out in the farmlands. All the jobs are centered around the big cities. So guess what? You have to center yourself around the big cities. And guess what? Right? Rent around the big cities, they cost. Right? And they cost even more. All I see now is them throwing up apartments. They're rarely even throwing up houses at this point. And if they are throwing up houses, guess what? Now I'm seeing more than ever that they're throwing out homes for rent now. They're throwing up homes for rent. I've seen entire neighborhoods not even for sale. Entire neighborhoods not for sale, but for rent. Right? But it doesn't even matter at this point because people can't afford rent. Right? This young lady is 21 years old, right? 21 years old and homeless, right? Believe it or not, more people are homeless than you think. More people are homeless than you think, right? They may not see. This is the new homeless in America. This is the new America. The new homeless in America. This is what I call, right? They look normal. They're not on drugs. They're your everyday peers, people you see at work, right? People you see on an everyday basis, right? The homeless person is not just a person sitting there on the street begging for change. The homeless person is not just a person that look like she's strung out on drugs. No, this is the new homeless, right? Cute face, right? Looks like she take good care of herself. She is the face of the new homeless, right? Gen Z is the face of the new homeless, right? Well put together, they work, right? People always think that people aren't working, especially boomers. Y'all know how boomers think. Boomers and Gen X always think, you must not be working hard. Working hard? Working hard? How hard can you work? Right? I know people who are working to the bone. I know people who are working until they can't work anymore and they still cannot get by. Right? People are out here, they're work to the max, right? I would say 70 to 80% of Americans are maxed out, right? Many people are working 50 hours. Many people are working 60 hours. Many people are working more than one job. Many people are already doing that and they still cannot get by when you combine rent, when you combine rising car insurance prices, right? Car notes, right? Insurance, taxes, food. When you add all of this stuff up together, listen, you get one big storm. And we're going to continue to see, as I should say, more homeless women. We're going to continue to see more homeless people and more young homeless people. Right? Now this is when the everything comes to a head, right? We're going to see more young homeless people, right? Even if you have roommates, some of these young people, they're struggling just to even keep up even with roommates, right? And I know some of you may ask, well, or may say, well, this is why family is important. This is why you should lean on family. This is what family is for. I agree. I absolutely agree. These types of economic times are where you're supposed to be leaning on your family heavy, right? These are the times where this is where family matters. This is where family counts. However, let's be realistic. We know that America doesn't have that family connectivity anymore, right? Many people, especially many young people, especially Gen Z, they are estranged from family, right? Most of us don't talk to our parents. Most of us don't really communicate with our parents like that for one reason or another, right? Many of us are not close to family members. Many of us are not even in the same city or state as our mom or dad or other loved ones, right? Most people do not have those safety nets to, just fall back on and just, I'm going to go stay with mom. You know what? I'm going to go stay with dad. Right? I'm going to go back home. Many of us don't have that option. Right? And I know it may seem easy for those of you who have it. Shouts out to you if you have it. Shouts out to you, because best believe many people wish they had it. Many people wish they had a strong relationship with mom, dad, or parents or loved ones, and they can just go back home and just chill out for a minute and let the storm go by. But that's not realistic. That's not realistic for the majority of Americans, right? And many people out here driving Uber, they're driving DoorDash on top of working their full-time job. Listen, it's ugly out here, right? It's going to get ugly out here. No more safety nets for women. No more safety nets for women. Men never had any safety nets, so you ninjas are just going to continue to be homeless at a higher rate. But now more women are going to be on the street, and what does this create? I told you already. It's going to create desperation. Right? It's going to create desperation, right? More wolves are going to be out, right? Both men and women, right? These kind of times, right? You can't trust relationships. Let's get into it, right? You're not going to be able to trust. If you're a man and you're doing, fairly well for yourself, right? Watch out. Watch out, because you're a target now, right? You are a target now, and I'm seeing this firsthand. I've been seeing it for the past few months, right? But women are becoming they're becoming more forthcoming. They're becoming, a little bit friendlier, right? They're trying to get their foot in the door. They're trying to find a guy who will let them stay at their place. They're looking for a guy who, possibly can take care of them until the storm goes by, right? This is going to create desperation, right? Going to create wolves amongst women. Best believe it, right? Winter is here. Winter is not coming anymore. Winter is here, right? And this young lady, she just let y'all know, she just sounded the alarm that winter is here. Listen, I've already known this. Like, what could possibly happen when jobs go to AI? What could possibly happen when wages don't increase? What could possibly happen if people continue to be replaced? What could possibly happen when America is facing a skills pandemic, right? A skills epidemic, the lack of skills, right? Americans have lack of skills, right? They don't have the same skills that worked back in the 20th century, right? Those traditional skills, it doesn't fly anymore. You need some cojones to make it in, and for the ladies too, if you're watching, you need some cojones to make it in today's time. You need some cojones, right? And people wonder why aren't young people getting married? Why aren't young people making children? Because they're homeless, ninja. Like, ninja, they're homeless. And if you aren't homeless, you're one paycheck, probably one missed payment away from being homeless. Right? Listen, the economy is directly tied into how families are created. The economy is directly tied into how people interact dating wise, right? And let's call a spade a spade. You can't expect women to be traditional, right? And out here struggling with you at the same time. It doesn't work that way. Right? Times are too hard, right? Times are way too hard. Women don't have the luxury to be sitting back and waiting on you to get it together. Women don't have the luxury to be sitting back and trying to help you build you up and wait on you to hit that peak where you're doing. Women don't have that luxury, man. If you're not already there, you're just not already there. You got to wait it out, right? The economy is not helping relationships. The economy is not helping dating. Women are out here, they're down bad, right? And a lot of men, especially under 35, really under 40, a lot of men are out here down bad too, right? If you're making under $30 an hour, yeah, you're definitely struggling, right? And I've said this already. I've pointed it out. In America, you need around $150,000 to be comfortable. Yep. And that's really $150,000, give or take, depending on what city you're in, gross or take home after taxes. After taxes, you should come back. You should take home around 105. 105, possibly 115. Right? I believe that's enough to be comfortable. Right? But if you're talking about a family of four. Right? You're talking about a family of three and you're the head honcho, you're the head of the household, you're the only one working, your woman may stay home, right? You want your woman to stay home, your kids are probably homeschooled. You need around 175 to a quarter mil. Yes, sir. This is the reality of it. You need around 175 to 200 plus $1,000 to really be comfortable. Your family is comfortable. Your wife is taken care of. You're not really worried about bills, right? You're not worried about missing anything. And then y'all can go out to eat here and there and then, take a little family vacation, right? Quarterly or however you want to do it. You need about a 175 to a quarter, right? And it's showing. Right? This young lady, she can't even meet the bare minimum. You got these apartments, they're $2,000 plus dollars, right? They're $2,000 plus dollars. And then on top of that, they're requiring you got to make 3 times the income. What? Who's making that, Scooby? Who's making 3-4 times the rent? I know somebody's making it. You know, you got your drug dealers, you got your you got your OF models, you got your doctors, attorneys, right? You know, all of those high-end executives, right? They're making the money. But the average Joe Smo is not making 3, 4 times the rent, right? Why do we have to be homeless or stay in a roach infested inner city neighborhood or a messed up neighborhood just to be able to lay our head down at night? Why? Why? How? ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Cómo? Why? Why? But this is the state of affairs in America, right? This is the state of affairs in America. Welcome to America, right? Where the normal everyday Joe Smo can't afford, or Joe Smo or Jane Doe, right? Where the everyday Jane Doe, Joe Smo can't afford rent, right? Your normal job can't afford it. Working more than one job still can't afford it. Or if you can't afford it, guess what? You got to sacrifice food, right? Or you got to wait until you pushing your electric bill back, you pushing your water bill back, right? America has turned into we live basically day by day, right? Or better yet, month to month, right? We're scrambling and scraping the whole month, right? We're scrambling and scraping the whole month. Okay, I gotta pay this. I gotta pay that. Okay, how much do I have for groceries? Do I have enough for groceries? Right? Am I going to meet rent this month, or am I going to be late? Oh, am I going to do this, or am I going to do that? Oh, I got to push my car note back, bro. It's non-stop, and this is the problem. I appreciate her optimism, right? I appreciate how hopeful she is, right? Because many times it's the optimism that gets you out of horrible situations, right? I can attest to that, right? It is being hopeful that gets you out of those situations, being optimistic, right? Still having a cheery attitude, right? A good attitude when you're in a shit situation. And she's in a messed up situation. I don't know her background. I don't know why, she can't call family or anything, right? Just to have something to fall back on. You never know. Maybe her parents are deceased. Maybe, they grew apart and she's just not close with people. You never know what people's situation is, right? And this goes to show you that you don't never know what people are going through. Right. So when you're walking in the grocery stores, when you're walking through, when you're at work, right? When you're, wherever you are, you don't know who's going through what. I personally know people who don't have a place to stay right now, right? At where I work, right? They have a place to lay their head down. Like they jump from, the little hotels. They jump from hotel to hotel, right? They do things like that, but I know people right now who don't have a permanent place to lay their head, and they work 40 plus hours. They just can't afford it, right? This is the state of affairs, right? And this is why I implore you to do whatever you can to get your situation straight. Do whatever you can to bring in more money, right? Because as we can see, the 9 to 5 system is dead. The 9 to 5 system is dead. If you can't just simply go to work, if you simply just can't go to work and make enough money just to afford the basic necessities, the system is broken. The system is unfairly broken, right? But we should already know this already. So now what? Even if you work in multiple jobs, still kind of look. You have to figure something out. The government is not going to save you. The government is not going to save you. God ain't coming to save you. A prayer is not coming to save you. You got to put boots on the ground. You have to figure it out, right? Whether you leave the country, whether you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. And this is going to become the new norm amongst Gen Z, because even if they're even when they're graduating college, they're not able to find jobs. The economy is shit right now. The housing crisis is shit. The rental crisis is shit. Food crisis, grocery prices are up through the roof. Inflation is high. We're in a bad time, and that's an after pill. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.